Hello everyone. In today's topic, we will talk about why do people argue, understanding the deep roots of conflict and the path to peace. People argue over politics, over dinner plans, over how someone says something or didn't say anything at all. Some arguments are explosive, others are calm and quiet. But why do we argue in the first place? Is it because we enjoy being right? Is it pride, ego, fear? The truth, as always, runs deeper than surface impressions. Arguments are not merely clashes of opinion. They are collisions of identity, unmet needs, and deeper emotional histories. To understand why we argue, we must begin with what it means to be human. The surface reasons, control, certainty, and validation. On the surface, arguments often stem from a disagreement over facts, choices, or interpretations. A couple might argue over how to raise their child. Two workers might clash over the direction of a project. These surface level arguments are often rationalized as differences in opinion, but underneath that difference lies a deeper hunger for control, for certainty, for validation. Human beings crave certainty. In the chaotic world, we cling to what we believe to be true, our values, our memories, our knowledge. When someone challenges our view, we can feel like existential threat. It's not just that they disagree, it's that they seem to shake the ground we stand on. In such moments, arguing becomes a defensive mechanism. We argue to restore order in ourselves. We also argue to be seen. Many disagreements are less about content and more about acknowledgement. The words, quote, "you never listen to me" or "you just don't understand" are less about logic and more about longing. Beneath them lies a plea, "see me, understand me, make room for me." When that plea goes unheard, it often turns into a combat. The deeper roots, wounded ego, and emotional inheritance. But why do some people argue constantly, while others choose peace even when they are challenged? The answer lies deeper in the architecture of the ego and the emotional wounds we carry from childhood. Every person has that psychologists call an ego identity, a sense of self constructed from memories, relationships, cultural messages, and personal achievements. This ego is fragile. If someone attacks your ideas or opinions, it can feel as if they're attacking your worth. That's why people often defend themselves with disproportionate intensity. The argument isn't really about what was said, it's about what was felt. Imagine a man who grew up feeling unseen by his father. Every time he shares an idea and someone interrupts or contradicts him, he might react explosively, not because the idea was brilliant, but because deep down a little boy inside him is crying, "See me, Dad." He might not be conscious of this, but the wound still drives him. Similarly, a woman who was shamed in childhood for speaking up may grow into an adult who avoids argument entirely, or conversely overcompensates by becoming physically assertive. Her arguments aren't about being right, they are about reclaiming the voice she once lost. Much of our arguing is not about the present moment, it's the ghost of old pains seeking resolution in new phases. The fear of vulnerability. Another hidden force behind arguments is the fear of vulnerability. To listen deeply, to consider another's view without immediately rejecting it, requires humility and emotional openness. It means risking the possibility that we might be wrong, or that our way isn't the only way. For many, this feels unsafe. Vulnerability is a soft space, and arguments are often armor. We use confrontation to protect ourselves from intimacy. A couple might argue about the mess in the kitchen, but the real tension is emotional distance. It feels safer to criticize the dishes than to say, "I feel alone and I miss you." When we fear intimacy, we replace honest connection with control. We argue because we create a wall, and behind that wall, we feel safe. Cultural conditioning and illusion of winning. Some societies prize intellectual combat. In such cultures, argument is mistaken for intelligence, and winning an argument is seen as a personal triumph. This conditioning begins in childhood through competitive schooling, authoritarian parenting, and even social media. We are taught to prove, to persuade, to dominate conversations. But winning an argument is growing in understanding are not the same. One leaves you triumphant, the other leaves you transformed. People who are trained to see disagreement as battlefield often become addicted to being right. Their identity becomes so untangled with their opinions that any threat to their stance is met with aggression. This mindset transforms relationships into competitions, and intimacy becomes collateral damage. How to become less argumentative, a path to peace. If arguing is so deeply wired into our emotional and cultural makeup, is it even possible to change? The answer is yes. It requires conscious effort, emotional honesty, and deep self-reflection. Here are some practices that we can transform a reactive person into a peaceful one. First, recognize the pattern, then pause. The first step is awareness. Learn to recognize when your body begins to tense, when your tongue sharpens, when you need to correct someone arise. In that moment, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling? What am I trying to protect? This pause is not weakness, it's maturity. It is the first brick in building a bridge instead of a wall. Second, value connection over being right. Ask yourself, do I want to be right or I want to understand? This single question can reshape the entire conversation. When we prioritize connection over winning, we make space for both voices and coexist. Letting go of the need to win does not mean surrender your values. It means being strong enough to hold them gently. Third, heal the inner joy. Much of the defensiveness stems from own emotional wounds. A therapist's journal or trusted friend can help us revisit those moments when we felt unheard, unseen, or shamed. By giving compassion to the joy we once were, we reduce the emotional charge that fuels our arguments today. Healing doesn't erase the past, but it frees us from its grip. 4. Cultivate curiosity. Instead of reacting, ask questions. Can you tell me more about why you feel that way? Or what experience led you to this view? Curiosity transforms confrontation into dialogue. When people feel seen and heard, they become less defensive. Often, just being curious, they can prevent an argument altogether. Fifth, practice silence and listening. Listening is not absence of talking, it's presence of attention. Learn to listen, just not to words, but to tone, energy, and intention. Listen to the need beneath the words. Is the person seeking respect, validation, love? When people feel deeply hurt, the argument often dissolves on its own. 6. Accept uncertainty. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to change everyone's mind. The world is large enough for multiple truths. Embracing uncertainty is a form of wisdom. People who can hold complexity without panic and less likely to argue. They are more likely to build bridges. In conclusion, the gift of stillness, arguments are not merely battles of the words. They are echoes of longing, pain, pride, and fear. But they are also invitations. Each argument we face offers a mirror of who we are, what we fear, and what we most needed to heal. To be less argumentative is not to be passive or weak. It is to be brave enough to listen, wise enough to yield, and strong enough to sit with discomfort without reacting. It is to care more about the relationship than the scorecard. The next time you feel the urge to argue, ask yourself, what would love do now? Not romantic love, but the deep love that seeks understanding, healing, and peace. In that stillness, you might find something better than being right. You might find connection, and in connection, we rediscover our shared humanity, the quiet, enduring truth that we are not separate voices in battle, but parts of one great conversation, yearning not to conquer, but to be heard, seen, and held. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy this video. Please subscribe to help my channel. Thank you.